Hey everyone, GeoTLG fan here, and welcome back to another video. So today, I am recording this video at 2 o'clock in the morning. The reason why I'm recording it at that time is because I cannot sleep. So welcome back to r/ProRevenge, where we are reading the hottest revenge stories I can find. This video is going to be a long one, so just sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab some popcorn or whatever, and enjoy the story. Or, if you're listening to this at, 2 a.m., this is a good story to fall asleep to. First story we have is, if you're gonna steal the catalytics off my truck, you should have checked if they were actually functional first. Wasn't so funny when it was a fun morning at the beginning of last week, starting up my truck, waking everyone up at 2:45 a.m. to learn someone swiped the hollowed out cats. The idiots missed the neighbors' cameras that basically gave away who they were. It's two kids from the area who drive around in a pretty busted up police ground vehicle, which I assume Vic means. I chose not to call the cops. Instead, I called one of my friends who's code enforcement and let him know what my plan was, and he relayed the info to the police that I was finally going to do a nuisance tow on that same Crown Victoria. The car they drive isn't street legal, as it has no license plates, no insurance, or working taillights, and rattles like crap due to the trash sound system. They also spend their whole day at a chicken shack smoking. Not sure who they're getting money from, but I'm guessing stealing catalytics was part of the equation. When I spotted the car sitting on a quiet street, I called it in and got a go-ahead to tow. I took it straight to the police station, and they tried to run an owner check with the VIN number, only to find out that it hadn't been registered since 2011. And the owner was someone other than the kids who sold them the car with no title because of all the back registration owned. The cops said we can go ahead and take it to the junkyard till they can get a black title, aka certificate of destruction. By then, two idiots were running around all over town looking for their car, thinking it got stolen by one of their friends as a prank. The lock was so worn out you could just start it with any car key. They found it at the junkyard and tried to steal it. One of them distracting the owner and the other stealing their car, but the junkyard was aware of who they were, so they cut the drive shaft off beforehand. I missed out on this part, but they got arrested for trying to steal their car back, and they watched as the junkyard used a crane to rip the car into shreds. I saw it. The remains looked like a toddler just ripped it to a bare frame out of curiosity. They've been out of jail since, but haven't left their trailer. I did a drive-by earlier and noticed a beater Jeep Liberty in their driveway, also with no plates, and already working with the cops on taking that too. If I see it out in public, except I won't miss the show next time. Next story. Tricking my slacker co-worker into sabotaging himself. I work in an office with a guy I'll call Seth. Seth is that worker everyone knows. Lazy, always passing his work on to someone else, and somehow always getting away with it. He'll sit around on his phone or go to the bathroom every 10 minutes. He's the kind of guy who will show up late, make some lame excuse about traffic, then disappear for lunch for 2 hours. For the past 6 months, Seth's favorite target has been me. He'll send emails asking if I can help out with a project, but what he really means is, do all the work while I take the credit. I complained to my boss about him a couple times, but somehow Seth always managed to weasel his way out of trouble. The final straw was when he passed off a major report that was due to a client in 2 days, dumping it on me last minute. One day I casually asked him if he was good with Excel. He admitted he didn't know much about it. Perfect. The next time Seth tried to dump a bunch of spreadsheets on me to organize for his next report, I agreed. But this time I embedded a series of hidden formulas into the document. These formulas didn't do anything important, just enough to mess with the numbers if someone didn't know how to check for hidden cells. It took me a little time, but I was careful not to make it too obvious. The kicker? Every time Seth tried to copy and paste the data into his report, it would scramble everything just enough to be completely useless. On the day the report was due, Seth slacked off like usual, assuming I'd handle it like always. When the client called furious because the report was filled with nonsense numbers, Seth panicked. He rushed to fix it, but every time he tried to fix one part of the report, something else would break. He came to me frantic and asked for help. I acted confused and said, "Oh, I don't know what happened. Maybe it's a glitch?" I gave him some vague advice and watched as he spent the entire day trying to salvage his mess. Our boss found out, and for once, Seth wouldn't talk his way out of it. He got lambasted for screwing up such an important project and was put on temporary leave without pay. I guess he'll be doing his own work from now on. Oh, I played the long game. 7 years ago, I was lucky enough to be able to buy my own place. I had saved for 10 years working my ass off, and I was so happy to be able to have a place to call my own. Now, being a single person on a mortgage meant I had to make compromises. One such compromise was buying a property on a shared block, a lot cheaper where I'm from. This usually means it's on a strata title. For some, that's a bonus as it means there's a communal fund for repairs. Typically, insurance is cheaper as it's collective, and other things like maintenance being taken care of. Strata titles also come with a lot of bylaws and restrictions on what you can and can't do. I'm a pretty private and introverted person, so having to deal with people and have limits on how I live was a no-no. I took my time, found the perfect property, shared block, but freehold title. Only thing that was I needed to pay public liability insurance for the shared walkway on the property, split equally between owners. The real estate agent is local to my area. There's also about 3 degrees of separation between us. He has friends who are friends with my friends. The type of thing. Didn't know him, but knew of him. That felt sort of good too. About 5 months after I move in, I get a knock on the door from the landlord, of the property next to me to discuss the insurance. Not a problem. I ask for a copy of the policy so I have a record. It gets sent through, and lo and behold, it's for strata insurance. I was incredibly confused, and after much back and forth, the property isn't a freehold title, but a strata title. I called my lawyer who conveyed the title, etc. He was dumbfounded, but over it all did the right thing and made things as right as they could. I arranged for a meeting with a real estate agent. I brought emails and printouts of the ads they had, all saying it was freehold. Emails between the real estate agent and my lawyer discussing its freehold status. Despite it being an absolute black and white, he refused to accept any fault or offer anything to make things right. I don't begrudge that. He's looking out for himself. I get that. However, I wouldn't forget it. I did enter into a meditation with the real estate agent, and all I asked for was when the time came for me to sell, they'd do it or cover the costs. I thought this was reasonable, but they flat out refused to offer me $1,000 to go away, which I refused. I had the option to pursue them legally and was advised by the mediator to do so, but ultimately I decided against it for a few reasons, the main one being my health at the time. So I planned and plotted, and I schemed and connived as to know how to get back at this son of a bitch, and settled on this. I found this personal Facebook page, which wasn't a private one. I saw some of the photos of a boys on tour trip he went on a few weeks ago, about 5 or 6 months after I bought the property. I also found his address through a business registration research. On the anniversary of the sale for 6 years straight, I sent him flowers with a note. Dear real estate agent, remembering you on this our special day. She has your eyes, love, L. They varied ever so slightly over the years, but always had on this our special day, and some weird inference to a loved child and a desire to reconnect. I also from time to time arranged for postcards and letters to be sent from another country, the one he was on tour in, and always signed Love L. I learned about 3 weeks ago that this guy had recently been divorced. He lost his home and is no longer working as a real estate agent. His wife found out he cheated on her. The story I was told through said friends of friends went along the lines of he would get weird gifts and flowers every year, same day every year. She, his wife, finally put 2 and 2 together and realized what the date was, and he admitted to cheating on her. Now, I didn't mean for this, but it turns out a year before I bought my house, he had gone on holiday, came back with an STD, and gave it to his wife, but somehow convinced her that it wasn't him. As such, our special day turned out to be right around the time he'd been balls deep, sans condom, in someone who wasn't his wife only 1 year earlier. He apparently lost his house, half his retirement savings, and also his business. I do feel a bit guilty about all of it sometimes, but then I'm reminded that he's a scumbag and that karma, like me, is a patient, Spiteful, vengeful bitch. Cable company kept calling to recharge even after disconnecting service. Booked tech support to fix non-existent TV box. My old TV finally broke down, so I got a smart TV. A couple weeks later, I realized that no one in the family watches any TV channels. Everyone goes for streaming content. I decided that it's not worth to pay for the TV connection anymore. Now my TV connection is added to my phone plan along with my internet as well. So disconnecting it was not straightforward. It was a custom plan with its own dedicated relationship team. It took several calls to the team to find a resolution, which was to convert the TV connection to a prepaid one and then stop recharging. After the conversion was done, I got messages for a few weeks to recharge, and then finally a message to return the set-top box. I responded to that, and in a few days the box was collected from my place. Good riddance, or so I thought. Next started calls from a random call centers for recharging. It felt different from the dedicated relationship team. I googled and found out that this had become the practice in my country. The company had outsourced this part of the support to a third party, and they simply checked from the printed database about people who had a connection but did not recharge last month. Since my disconnection was in the middle of the month and their printed database was from the beginning, they did not have this updated info. I tried my best to inform them about this, but to no avail. I started talking to the callers, informing them of the fake problem my TV was having connecting to the set-top box, and that multiple support requests have fallen on deaf ears. Also started recording the calls. Third caller took it seriously and booked tech support. Got a call from a field tech within hours. He came by. I greeted him with drinks and informed him about the real issue. We had a good laugh. He suggested that I keep it up a few more times for good measure. After 8 tech support visits, they finally got the message. Got the call from the supervisor asking why I was booking tech support when I clearly didn't have a connection anymore. I mailed them the call recordings. He was pretty annoyed, but I stopped getting calls so much. Any call I get now, rarely once a month, rarely once like a couple weeks. I just read them from the same script, and if someone takes it seriously enough to try to book tech support, they get a short note against my ID not to bother this gentleman. Last but not least, got a rude guy arrested for a suspended license. This story takes place 20 years ago. In the mid-2000s, my friends and I would frequent a small billiards place in the neighboring town where you could rent a table by the hour or play per game. We play a few games, whatever sports were on TV, and have casual conversations. There were no problems, no drama until 3 months of us visiting this place. A guy shows us and takes our spot at the billiards table. No big deal. We were all chatting anyway. 20 minutes later, my friend lets him know that we want to play the next game, and the jerk is super dismissive. Needless to say, we didn't get in during the next game, so I politely let him know that we wanted to play next. Another lady chimed in she wanted to play the game after us. The guy blatantly ignored me and the other woman. Some more time going by, and the guy leaves the table. We see our chance to get in. We put quarters in, and the balls were dispensed, except the green 6 ball. The guy took it into the bathroom with him. What the fuck? At this point, it was ridiculous. And we notified the manager. The manager noted it was 12:30 and they were going to be calling the last call and closing. So he didn't want to make a scene by kicking him out. He gets us another ball so we can play. The guy comes out of the bathroom and knows we realize what he did. He smirks and proceeds to the patio to have a cigarette, bringing along his beer and the green billiard ball. The guy comes back in and tosses the ball, holding onto the table, hitting a few balls on the table and messing up our game. He goes up to the bar just in time for our last call. One of the friends I was with suggested we follow him home and each call the highway patrol to report suspected drunk driver. 3 to 4 of us agree. So when he leaves, we use our trusty naval Nextel push-to-talk phones and coordinated several calls to the police. We provided details like the license plate, vehicle, make and model, and color, and mentioned the car nearly hit another vehicle, was swerving between lines and driving erratically. This was under a 15-minute plan. We had no idea where the guy lived, but suspected it was close, and he was visiting a neighborhood place, so our time was limited. The one guy who didn't notify the police tailed the jerk and called us giddy when a police officer pulled between him and the guy and turned on his lights and pulled him over. The police blotter that week included an arrest of a guy who was pulled over for multiple calls of erratic driving. He wasn't arrested for DWI, but instead for driving on a suspended license. Don't drive drunk, folks. So guys, that does it for r/ProRevenge. If you enjoyed it, click or tap that like button and subscribe for more, and follow me on Instagram. And don't forget to turn on those post notifications as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm going to try to get some more sleep as it's 3:24 a.m. as of recording this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.